You've probably been told to memorize the Code of Ethics and Professional Standards for the CFA exams. Just learn the rules, remember the 7 standards, and you'll be fine, right? But here's what almost no one tells you. This isn't just a section on your exam. It's the section that defines who actually makes it in finance, and who doesn't. Not because they failed the test, but because they failed themselves. If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, putting in the hours, grinding through formulas, mastering the frameworks, but still feeling like something's off, it might be this. Ethics isn't just a requirement, it's the compass. And when that compass is broken or ignored, everything else eventually collapses, no matter how technically sound you are. So let's get brutally honest for a second. You can pass the CFA without really living these standards. Plenty of people do. But what happens next? That's the part they never talk about. Because this industry doesn't reward shortcuts, it records them. Quietly, permanently. Your character becomes your currency. Your reputation becomes your resume. And that's where this story begins. The Code of Ethics isn't just 6 lofty principles. It's a challenge to rise above what's legal and commit to what's right. And the 7 professional standards? They're not hoops to jump through. They're guardrails, because when things go wrong in finance, they go really wrong. Not because someone didn't know better, but because they chose not to care. Now this is the part most people ignore. The most dangerous ethical violations don't look like fraud. They look like everyday decisions. A casual conflict of interest you didn't disclose. A research report you didn't fact-check. A client you let assume too much. And it all starts so small, until one day, you're the cautionary tale everyone whispers about. Let's pause here for a second. If you've ever thought, this stuff is obvious, ask yourself this: why do some of the smartest people in finance still end up in scandals? Why do firms with decades of prestige still make the headlines for all the wrong reasons? It's not because they lacked intelligence. It's because they drifted. Slowly, repeatedly, until integrity became optional. But here's where it gets real. Ethics isn't about being perfect. It's about having a system that keeps you honest when no one's watching. That's what the standards are, your blueprint for not messing up when the pressure is on and the rules start to blur. Take Standard I, professionalism. It sounds broad, but it asks one clear thing. Will you choose honesty over advantage? Even when it's inconvenient, especially when it costs you. Because this is where trust is built or broken. And in finance, trust is the product. Then there's Standard 2, integrity of capital markets. Market manipulation isn't always obvious. It can be subtle. Prematurely sharing inside information. Misusing material non-public info because everyone does it. But the truth is, every shortcut leaves a trace. And every trace leads back to you. Standard 3, duties to clients, is where the spotlight really hits. Because clients aren't just account numbers. They're trusting you with their future, their retirement, their kids' education, their dreams. If you've ever underestimated the weight of that responsibility, stop. Right now. Because once you betray that trust, even once, it's over. This isn't about passing an exam. It's about who you are when no one's watching. Because in this industry, your silence can be louder than your actions. And your smallest choice can be the thing they remember forever. Let's move forward. Standard IV, duties to employers. This one's tricky because ambition and loyalty often collide. What happens when your company wants results, but your conscience says no? This is where many cross the line, not because they're evil, but because they think it's expected. But here's a truth no one likes to say: if your success requires you to violate your values, it's not success, it's surrender. Standard V, investment analysis, recommendations, and actions. This isn't about being right, it's about being rigorous, transparent, objective. Imagine your analysis becomes the basis of a decision that cost someone millions. Could you defend every word you wrote? Every source? Every assumption? Because one weak link in your logic isn't just a mistake. It's a breach of trust. Standard V, conflicts of interest. Let's be honest, conflicts are everywhere. But the problem isn't having them. It's hiding them. It's acting like disclosure is optional. It's assuming no one will notice. But someone always does. And once your integrity is in question, every future opportunity disappears without a trace. The code and standards aren't about staying out of trouble. They're about standing for something. When your reputation becomes your resume, your values better be rock solid, or you'll crumble the moment they're tested. Here's what rarely gets discussed. The real power of the CFA ethics framework isn't in preventing violations, it's in creating clarity. In a world that's moving faster, growing murkier, and getting noisier, these standards give you a signal. They give you a system. So you're not guessing, you're not gambling, you're grounded. And if you've made mistakes before, if you've ever felt like you compromised under pressure, you're far from alone. Redemption isn't just possible, it's respected. The key is accountability, owning your missteps, learning out loud, and rebuilding with stronger bricks than before. If you've been nodding along this far, there's a reason. Because deep down, you already know this isn't about passing a section. It's about protecting a legacy. Yours. The moment you stop seeing ethics as a checklist, and start seeing it as your anchor, everything shifts. And let's not sugarcoat it, you'll be tested. In subtle ways, big ways. The good news? You'll be ready. Most people think ethics is about saying no to the big, bad things. But it's really about having the courage to say yes, to transparency, to integrity, to doing the harder right over the easier wrong. So here's where we land. The Code of Ethics and Standards of Professional Conduct aren't just for the CFA exam. They're for life after it. For every decision that will never be on a test but will define your career. This idea alone puts you in the top 10%. Now imagine what's next. When everyone else is focused on just passing, you're building principles that last. That guide, that protect, that led. So if this resonated, if something clicked today, then answer this in the comments. What's one value you refuse to compromise on, no matter what? And if you're serious about becoming not just a CFA, but a force of character in the industry, then you'll want to check out the next video, The Hidden Traps Even Ethical Professionals Miss. You're already ahead just by knowing this. Keep going, we're just getting started.